Beautiful.
Hello, everyone. This is Mary Kurek with Frontrunners Innovate, and I have with me Ambassador Moses Busher, and he is out of Malawi, and we very much appreciate you being with us, Ambassador. So he is representing Yorghas, as you can see on his shirt, Foundation, and serves as Regional Director for Africa for that organization. He's going to tell us a little bit about that, but I can just kind of give you a snapshot. First of all, the fact that he is an education expert and that he's working heavily in maternal health and children's welfare. And I love the fact, Ambassador, that this kind of wraps around, it's like a full circle thing from maternity, from pregnancy, and maybe even pre-pregnancy to determine best ways of making sure that pregnancies go full term and we don't have, the morbidity rates that sometimes plague, low income areas around the world. But also to the point of creating education and equipment situations, basic childcare practices, things like that you do at Yorghas. It's going to be very interesting to me and to those people who are looking. But you are sort of a bigger entity than the Yorghas Foundation in the sense of your background and what you've been doing all these years and working with international boards of directors and NGOs and in the areas of policy development and program monitoring and evaluation, which is really critical to making sure we're meeting the needs and making sure that those dollars that get put forward are actually doing what we intend for them to do. Welcome. And the one big thing, Global Peace Ambassador. I love that because we're all about peace and security in this world today. So welcome. And I would like to start with just asking you a little bit about your background and to tell us who you are at your core. What brought you into this work?
Oh, thank you so much. And greetings from Africa and greetings from Malawi. Once again, I am Ambassador Moses Busher. I am a Malawian, born in Malawi, raised in Malawi, grew up in Malawi. I did my education in Malawi. I am a village man. I was born in the village, grew up in the village, and did my school in the village. I am the last born in a family of 9, from the family of Mr. and Mrs. Busher in Chikwawa district in Malawi.
Mm-hmm.
I did my school in the rural areas of Malawi, as I said, in Chikwawa, my primary up to secondary, and my college I did here in Malawi. I graduated with the bachelor's degree of business administration. I also did a diploma of youth development. I also did a diploma of law and a bachelor of theology. I am now doing, I've just enrolled for public health degree. I would like to now change my career into health sector because in the past I have been working in education, child protection, human rights, advocacy, girls' education, and not quite a lot in clinical aspect of development. I have worked quite a lot in a number of organizations, and I once worked with an organization from Britain. I was the country manager responsible for education. It is an education organization. I also worked with a local NGO called Youth in Missions as the deputy director. I then joined Center for Children's Affairs Malawi, an organization that I worked for quite a lot of years as CEO until 2020, when I changed career and went into the church. I worked in the church for 1 year. Then I went back to civil society organizations. I joined the Germany-based organization called the Yorghas Foundation as a regional director for Southern and Eastern of Africa. I worked for a year and some months, and then I joined Yorghas Foundation now as a regional director for Africa. I have worked in quite a number of been involved in quite a number of international boards and advisory roles. And some of them, I've been the board chair for Civil Society Education Coalition that I was responsible to manage, a coalition that has over 100 civil society organizations that are advocating for quality education in Malawi. So I've been the board chair. I am also the board member for an organization, a network again, in Malawi that is responsible for protection of people in terms of issues of trafficking in persons. So I'm the board member for Network Against the Trafficking in Persons. I'm also the board member at regional level, an organization. It's a network of organizations that are also advocating for quality basic education. It's called Africa Network Campaign on Education for All. I'm the board member responsible for media. I got also a media background, but though I don't do quite a lot of that, but it has also served me quite in my work. So in that board, I am responsible for the media. I have also been in the advisory role of the project that was implemented by Light for the World International. They had early childhood development project, and I was also in the advisory role, based in it's an international organization, and I was picked into the board because of my background in promoting inclusive education. You know, I am a man who has worked quite a lot, as I said, with children, but my passion quite a lot is on disability. When I see disability, any type of disability, that's where my heart ticks. So because of that, I was included into the board of the Light for the World in the advisory role of the project. Finally, working quite a lot with young people, internationally and locally. So I'm a man who is flexible to work with every department, and that's why now I am into health, and I think now it's my calling in the health sector, working with Yorghas Foundation.
This is great. You have quite an extensive background to be as young as you seem to be. So this is an applause to you for all the good works that you've been doing. So let's kind of focus on what you are doing right now through Yorghas. Tell us a little bit about the projects that you're working on, if you will.
Yeah, Yorghas Foundation, I will start with an introduction of what Yorghas Foundation is, because I'm sure that's maybe some of the people would be interested to know what Yorghas Foundation is. Yorghas Foundation is an international organization that was founded in the principles of promoting access to equal maternal and child health services in Africa. Is a Polish organization that was founded by two Polish women that are passionate in health sector, especially in the sector of maternal and child health. These two women, Daria and Alina, they are very passionate to support women and children, and their focus is Africa. They have got the heart to support Africa, because, you know, looking at the statistics, there's quite a lot of issues impeding the issues of maternal and child health in Africa. When you look at the issues of mortality rate, Africa, there's quite a lot of issues. I know we'll be able to talk more about that later in our discussions, but that was the real reason that provoked these two ladies to establish the organization and also put Africa as their focus area. So Yorghas Foundation is working in the maternal and child health, as I've said, supporting education, and also young people, especially supporting girls. In education, we are supporting quite a lot in access to quality education. When we're talking about quality education, we're talking about when there are resources, enough teaching and learning materials that qualifies the education system to be quality for the learners. So we are an organization existing to bridge the gap in terms of promoting access to quality basic education, access to quality education. So when we are saying about access, because I've said about quality, when we talk about access, we're talking about education for all, education for everyone, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless of disability, or regardless of anything. Mm-hmm. So we would like to see children with the disability to have equal access to education like any other child. Children born in the city, children born in the town, children born in the villages, all have access to quality education. Mm-hmm. So that's our another key area of Yorghas Foundation. And the last one is I said about promoting girls' access to education, as well as girls' quality life. In the girls' quality life, we also have that component of fighting mystery of poverty, access to reusable sanitary pads. This has been an issue that has also affected to quite a lot of girls in Africa to drop out in education because of lack of access to sanitary pads. So this is quite some of the key areas that Yorghas Foundation focuses.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. I do know some people who kind of work in, like I said before we came on record, that work in the spaces of providing those types of materials and items for girls in these countries, that we do know that once they hit of age and they have their menstruation, that sometimes they're not allowed to go to school, or like you say, if they don't have the proper, supplies, that they really just can't. And some of the unsanitary ways that they're having to deal with that is just not it's just not appropriate. It's very bad for their health, and not to mention the fact that they're missing all that education, right? And then they're made to feel unempowered, that they just made to feel less than, and that's just not appropriate either. So wonderful. So can you give us an example of a project you've got going on right now that you guys are working on?
Yes, currently we had some projects that phased out. We had a project that we're implementing in Tanzania and Uganda. In Uganda, we're working with healthcare services, working with nurses, building the capacity of nurses, provision of sanitary pads, and also in Tanzania, working with the Maasai clan, Maasai. This is the clan that you find in the Eastern Africa. In Kenya, you find the Maasai, Tanzania. So our projects, we would like to target such type of the clan that we work with. So, and currently in Malawi, we have a project that we have just launched. We are supporting emergency response program. The emergency response program, in the past months, Malawi was heavily hit by floods, and quite a lot of people lost their lives. Quite a lot of people lost their properties. Quite a lot of people lost their houses, and even the children lost their dignity and access to education for quite a lot of time, as they were waiting for the floods to dry out, and also the education infrastructures, the school blocks were used as emergency tents. So these are emergency centers where people, almost 500, 300, 500, 700 people were sheltered on a school block. So for the children to attend classes, it was not easy, and there was such kind of challenges in terms of access to classes. So these in other areas happened for almost 3 months. You can imagine 3 months learners were not accessing education services. So as an organization, we managed to find some resources from our partner in UK. This is Living Global International. They supported with some resources that we donated, sanitary pads to girls. We donated plastic pails. We donated blankets, wrappers, bags of men's, instant meat, we call soy meat. This is easy to prepare relish, salt, cooking oil, and some basic needs for about 30 households. This is a project that we launched. We would like to reach out to quite a lot of people because we still have a lot of families, more than 3,000 families. They're still in need of support. So you can imagine we just supported 30 households. It means there's quite a lot of families that needs our support. So this is a project that we would like to continue. And this is an emergency response that we launched, but we would like to make it a project up to the next 3 years. You know, after the floods, there's quite a lot of post-floods activities that happens. And now you're talking about issues of cholera, issues of malaria, and issues of people lost their properties. They are now they need now restoration. They need counseling. They need quite a lot to get back to their normal life. So it's not a thing that can just happen within a month or 2 months. There is more years that we need to rebuild their dignity in terms of accepting what happened. So you can imagine now. The floods happened when the people planted in their fields, and the floods washed away everything in the fields. So now people are desperate. They have nothing to eat. They have nothing to handle. So there is quite a lot that needs intervention. So this is a project that we have launched, and we would like to get into this more in the next 2-3 years in the project. And now, again, we have also found some partners to respond to the Ukraine crisis. We would like to make sure that we have responded in terms of maternal and child health. And the other crucial area is this provision of reusable sanitary pads. This is a program that we will be embarking very, very soon in partnership with Pachamama institution that has come in to work with us as partners so that we can respond to the crisis in Ukraine. And again, we would like also to venture into a program that we would like to see mothers with disabilities having equal access to maternal and child health. This is another key issue in Africa that I should be able to elaborate more as we are going with our conversation.
Wow. This is a lot of work, and it's a lot of good things to do. I mean, honestly, a lot of people probably don't even realize what problems exist after a flood. I live in a hurricane-prone area, and the last big hurricane that hit us was Hurricane Florence. And I live on an island, actually, along the coast of North Carolina. And so we got smacked pretty hard. And I do know that you access all the schools, and the different facilities become shelters. And so there's nothing going on except for the sheltering during that period. So I do get what you're talking about on some level, but the aftermath, one of the things that we're discovering with Ukraine refugees is, and I'm sure it happens in every disaster situation, I know it did in our area, is there's a bit of depression going on when you think that you've lost almost everything that you owned. And maybe even your four walls, and wondering where you're going to go next. There were some people that were evicted in our area because their homes were considered condemned. because they could no longer live there because of the water damage and the mold and mildew types of things that were coming along. The black mold, I think is what they call it. And so even if they thought they could go back to their homes, there was no way to do that. And they condemned whole apartment buildings for the same reason. So we had a lot of older people that, had to end up going into assisted living or a nursing facility, at least for some chunk of their lives. So it's quite a problem, that depression, that mental health, that, maybe some behavioral situations that go on. And then, you add on top of that, maybe some crime where, there's maybe another population that gets mixed in with the regular population that maybe should not be mixed. And then you've got some other issues going on. So this is all good stuff, and really interesting work, and diverse, still kind of focused on the human factor, still kind of focused on women and children and that sort of thing. But, honestly, if you don't take care of the women in the family, the rest of the family doesn't do as well. And so the women are the anchoring point there to make sure that the whole family as a unit stays together and is healthy. So what is, what do you think in the next 6 months will be the biggest thing that you guys tackle? What is the next big thing that you're going to be doing?
In the next big thing that we would like to see doing is we would like to see rural women having equal access to maternal and child health services, because this is our key program now. Despite that we have that education component, but our key component is maternal and child health. And in Malawi, we have a place we call Chisi Island. Chisi Island is based in Zomba district. And this is an island that you get in the middle of Lake Chirwa. And this is a place where when you want to access, you want to visit that island, you have to travel 1 hour by boat. And you can imagine, yes, 1 hour by boat. Wow. And you can imagine the whole island has got one health post. It's a very small health post, and only one primary school. Mm-hmm. And for children, learners as young as 4 to 5 years or 6 years to access education services, they walk about 2 hours walking. So you can imagine a 6-year-old learner walks 2 hours to go to school, and he arrives at school already tired. Yeah. And hungry, you expect probably. That and expect that one to perform better when a child 6 years is already tired, and that's that age, in the brain development, 6 years they have got their own time of sleeping in a day more than any adult. So this is a place where we are looking at when a woman is to undergo cesarean section, it means she has to be taken by boat to a district hospital. Now, this is what happens. You are taking a woman who is in labor and is already feeling pain, and you are now using the boat to cross 1 hour to access to go to a district health district hospital, and for you to drive from to the other end of the lake to go to the district hospital, it's another almost 40 minutes or 1 hour. So we're talking of 2 hours with a woman who is in labor and is to undergo cesarean section. Mm-hmm. These are the things that we would like as the Yorghas Foundation to make sure that all the islands in Malawi, people that are in the islands, they should also have those equal access and available access to healthcare services. Mm-hmm. This is how we want it, because at this island and the other islands, there are no boat ambulances. If we can have boat ambulances in these islands, it means we can save the lives of our mothers and our children. So, and also provision of skilled health professionals, because these health centers, these places, because there are no electricities, and you send a nurse there because there's no electricity, what he or she says, I cannot stay there because there's no power. So what can we do to save the lives of our mothers and our children? This is the work that we have in the next 5 years, 6 years. We would like to make sure that unreachable places, places that have got no access or little access to healthcare services, we are able to respond to those issues. And on the same island, there's never been a water service like a borehole. There is no borehole that has been sunk professionally. The water you can go there to take, the water you can drink is the water that is salty, too much salty.
Yeah.
You have to take your water when you're going there.
Yeah.
They are used to that water because there's no access to quality water services.
Yeah.
So as an organization, we are looking at that to say, if we are able to provide these people with a well-drilled borehole, all of the same water, but it should be purified, should go into a purification process into the tank, and it goes back into the houses, purified and with the salt removed. So this is the work that we want to embark in Malawi to save the lives of our mothers and children.
Wow, that's an enormous project and mission, but imagine how many lives you would change with that, or save, how many lives you would actually save. Because I can imagine if there's a woman in labor and maybe in a risky pregnancy, that maybe she nor the baby might even live through all of what you're saying that they have to go through to get to a hospital. So wow, this is applaudable, but this is a good mission. This is a big, meaty, an oh wow mission that you've got going on. And like I say, I live on an island, so I understand a little bit what you're talking about.
Yes.
So this is phenomenal. I want to kind of end up, because you've got a lot going on, and this one that's coming up in the coming years. Let me ask you a couple of questions first. You know, does pretty much everybody have a cell phone, a mobile phone there in Malawi?
Not everyone.
Not everyone. Is it pervasive enough that you could say for the 90% or 80% of the population pretty much have a cell phone, and that's how they operate, is via how they manage?
Okay, I can say let me categorize it a bit. To say in towns, we can say 95% people have got access to cell phones, or 90%. In cities, the same. In districts, we should be talking about 70% or 65%. Let's put 65% at district level. And in the villages, we put people with cell phones, we put it at 60%, and 40% don't have cell phones. And when we talk about cell phones, we should, this is general cell phone for communication.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about issues of access to social media services, phones with Facebook, WhatsApp, in villages, we can say 30%. Phones with access to social media. So they
can't use it like a computer like we would, like a smartphone, right? So it's more for communication purposes, just to make it. And I know your electricity, even off of the islands and into the greater areas of Malawi, isn't terrific. Your power situation, which means, just even getting Wi-Fi, even getting the ability to connect like you and I are connecting today is very, very difficult to do. Very
difficult.
Yeah. So this essentially, I just want to kind of clarify all of that, because I think the funny thing is about doing the work that I do, I get to talk to people who have solutions to almost every problem that you mentioned. The trouble is in the, what do they say? The devil is in the details. the devil is in the details to work things out, because most of the resources that are going to help you aren't right where you're located. They're going to be in other spots and other places. And not every solution fits every need. So it's peeling back the layers of the solutions that do exist to see what actually might fit, that might come along and help solve some of the problems. But by and large, for most of what you're talking about, as far as what you're doing right now, then sponsors, donors, contributors, correct, that would help provide some of the solutions, the supplies that you're talking about to the families beyond the 30 households that you're helping now in the post-flood situation. That is probably the most pressing thing right now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Can I respond?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, you touched something about issues of Wi-Fi and access to the internet. You know, like other countries where they have got free Wi-Fi in the places where they stay or they go but that's not the case in Malawi. Here you have to buy bundles for internet. So that's why access to internet is not all that easy like other countries, because even the access to internet, you have to buy, as I said, you have to buy internet bundles. So people would prefer to say, no, why should I buy internet bundle when I don't have food? When I need to eat.
Got a choice, food or internet, then food or medicine is going to win. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the issues of electricity, you said about issues of power, you know, we still have in the crisis where we have power outage up to 8 hours, and some areas 12 hours.
I've heard,
you know, this has been created, and the problem has been increased because of the current floods that we had. All the levers that helps us as a country to generate power, they were flooding and affected the machines, and it also affected the supply of power. So that has also just increased the problem that was already there. You know, we had the problem, of course, but now it's intense because of the current challenge. And from the sources within the energy sector, it shows we still have a long way for the problem to be reversed, and Malawians, we have to bear that. And that's why quite a lot of people now, they are now going into getting something for lighting in the house, small solar systems, and that's another area that we also need to explore as development practitioners, because even in quite a lot of health centers, health posts, clinics, and hospitals, the issue of blackouts affects a lot in the health care services. So we also need power backups, solar panels in health centers, health posts, at least in the rural areas, especially, as I said, in the Cheese Island. We also need such places to have access to sustainable and reliable solar panels that can generate power to save the lives of mothers and children. And you know, these solar power systems, they also encourage and motivate health workers, because it also supplies some lights in the houses. So that's the other areas that also, as a development practitioners and health experts, we are looking into as one of the key areas that would like to get it done, especially in the hard to reach areas and the rural areas of Malawi, and even in other countries where we'll be working.
I have one more question that has to do with policy making. You mentioned that, you know, one of the big issues that you guys have is equitable healthcare for everybody, and particularly for all women, no matter what their race or their, you know, religious affiliation or whatever. Is that going to have to be handled through policy? Tell me how do you see that being solved?
Come again with the question?
You know, you mentioned equitable health care for women, no matter their race or their religious affiliation. I'm asking you, what do you think will solve that? Is that a policy issue that will help to eradicate the problem?
Yes, we can say it's a policy issue. That's another key area that needs to be explored in terms of there is not a research currently on such cases, because that's another area we need to explore with to have quite a lot of data on why such things happens. But one of the notable things that fuels problems to do with access to healthcare services by people with disabilities is one, lack of capacity in terms of healthcare providers.
Yeah.
Let's say nurses, they're not trained in how to work with people with disabilities, how to identify people with disabilities that needs support in when they come to the health center or to the hospital, how to handle such cases. So sometimes that also is also married to attitude. People say people with disabilities are very difficult to handle. So that developed into a lot of people's minds to say people with disabilities are very difficult to handle and they need special care. Yes, they need special care, but they're just human beings like everyone. But when it comes to some services, you have to consider them due to the situation they are in, because we cannot expect someone who do not have a disability and someone who has got a disability to be on the queue 5 hours together or 3 hours together. He has got a physical disability or she has got a physical disability and want to treat everyone equally. Yes, we want to treat everyone equally, but situations and the way the person is also promotes the person who is giving the services to understand what has to be done to the person. So there was one case in Malawi where a woman with a disability, epileptic, she went for delivery, and the nurses abandoned the woman on the delivery bed.
Oh, no.
So you can imagine a woman who is epileptic fell down from the bed. The nurses abandoned her. She gave birth on her own, a woman with a disability. So you can imagine, why did they run away? They don't have the skill. They didn't know that the woman was epileptic. So she was in a situation that needed the closeness of the nurses, the closeness of the midwives to take care of her. Okay, if this is one case that is happening now, what about in the villages, in the rural areas? What about the treatment that these women get? So because we don't have data, we need to cultivate more data on how many women, how many people with disabilities are meeting such problems in hospitals. This will help the government to understand how we can go into the policy development.
Well,
but this is a policy issue.
Right. Yeah, I think policy is going to be dependent on the data that you are able to get and the numbers. Once they see numbers, then that impacts that, you know, because I do know that from the standpoint of the UN and a lot of the NGOs, the major NGOs who provide aid to countries, is they like you to be adhering to their SDGs and a lot of the policies that they put forward, that are considered, human rights policies, basically. And so you kind of get brownie points for when you're doing well. So that maybe and as long as there's accountability for the money that's coming along, it continues to flow. But I have a feeling that gets stemmed or taken away if for some reason they start to see that you're falling behind, because they rate they rate all the countries and how they are doing against the SDGs and some of the work that, that's in the human rights arena. And if you're not following those things, then you're less likely to get what you're looking for from a, grander scheme of things as far as progressing your country. So I think it's worthwhile taking the time to kind of get the data necessary to change policy. So I'm going to ask you to stay on because I have a couple of 3 names I want to share with you real quick, and I'm going to tell everybody else goodbye. But you can see that this is a very rich conversation, full of opportunity, full of gaps that need to be discovered and worked on. And if there's somebody out there watching this that feels compelled after listening to Ambassador Busher to get in touch, we will provide this information with his interview on our website. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it on the podcast through Spotify or one of your other podcast places, go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com where you'll get this interview. You get some contact information on how to reach him through LinkedIn or, maybe through a website or something, and you'll be able to get a hold of him. And if all else fails, come to us. We will connect you and help facilitate the conversation. But there's real need here. And I have a special heart for Africa, and I'm working on a project now with another group of front runners in Malawi, which I'll share with Ambassador in just a few minutes. And so there's some progress happening. It's just that it's not fast enough and we need more. Ambassador, you're on mute. Okay, just wanted to let you know. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you to Ambassador Busher and to the Yorghas organization for all the good works that they do, and hope to get to meet the founders sometime soon. Ambassador, maybe you can make that happen. I'd love to connect with them. So I'll say goodbye. You've got a final last word for us, Ambassador?
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time to have a conversation with Yorghas Foundation. I really appreciate for this. And my last word is let those people that are willing to support the work in Africa and the work in Malawi that we're doing as an organization, we really need quite a lot of support from different partners. So this is an opportunity that we can explore more opportunities. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you for answering the question I usually ask last, but I felt like all the way along we were answering what needs that you had and the type of people that you need to meet. So thank you very much. And thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, happy front running.